Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Essential Pedagogy podcast. My name is Steph The Educator, and I have an interesting episode for you. My hope is that as a result of listening to this podcast or watching the podcast, that people within our profession of education and all others outside our profession grow in compassion for one another by getting an inside view of the American education system. So, I just want to talk to you that and tell you the truth, the ins and outs of all there is to know that I know about the American education system, especially here in Texas. That's where I am. And just want to share information and let you know, get an inside view of what's going on in the classroom, in our schools, and how schools are ran and all of the above. So, without further ado, I want to talk to you and introduce you to Lucretia Thomas Kennedy. She's a professional school counselor. Look at her, she's so cute. I've been knowing Lucretia for many, many years, and she has been in education. How many years, Lucretia? Tell us.
20 plus years. I know I've been in elementary for the past 10. Worked in the college for about 9 and worked a little bit in middle school for like 7. So I'll say 20 plus years. I can honestly say that.
Yay, very good. She works she works for a local school district here, and she would like to just share her point of view about some of the things that she sees the most need for our children, especially after post COVID. So, Lucretia, can you talk to me a little bit about some of the things that we've discussed?
Yes. One of the biggest things that I've been noticing since post COVID is the disconnect with the kids, not having the right social skills, not knowing how to express themselves. Even when they're angry or upset, they're going from 0 to 100. And when I say that, meaning that if they're on the playground with a friend, someone doesn't win the game, the next thing you know, they're either saying, I'm gonna kill you or I want to die. So those are their go-to things of how to express their emotions. And in my school district, when a kid says they want to kill themselves or they want to kill someone else or they want to die, we immediately stop. It's like we stop what's going on and we deal with that kid and ask them, hey, we need to talk to you. What's going on? Have to call parents, have to give parents the paperwork to say your child could be a first grader said, I want to die. And then let the parent know this is unusual behavior for a first grader to say that. Pretty much any kid having those kind of emotions, and whether they know what that means or not, whether they're playing video games or they're seeing this kind of reaction in another setting, and that's what they're using. That they've picked up the modeling. Parents are not monitoring what the kids are watching on these iPads, Chromebooks, whatever it is. They have become the babysitters. So when you let the social media, the internet become your babysitter, you've opened up a wide range of audience to your child.
Mm-hmm. We talked about, we had a conversation about where if you do not directly teach some skills, the students will not, or the children will not be able to use the skills that we think are innate
Right.
or natural. Can you
Right.
talk more about that?
Yes, number one, and I always would tell a kid or ask a kid, if they understand what I'm asking them. So sometimes in a simple situation of social skills, understanding if they understand what you're asking them, because we expect a kid at like pretty much second grade to understand how to accept no. Some kids have never been told no. Some kids are not used to being told no. And when they had that situation happen, they have a meltdown. So when we explain to a kid, hey, do you understand why we're saying no and the safety reasons behind it? And sometimes they really don't understand until you really teach them why you shouldn't run in the hallway. So some kids just take off running, like, and then we expect the kid not to run in the hallway. Why do you expect them not to run in the hallway? No one ever told them to stop. This is their first time in this kind of environment, but we think that they already know you should not run in the hallway. Whether you see water or you see 100 people coming, a crowd coming your way, you just decide to run. But that's one of the biggest things we think as educators. Oh, the kid is in second grade, he should know not to run down the hallway. Well, who's teaching? Who's showing this? Because maybe another school let them run up and down the hallway. So you have to make sure you've taught that skill. Some schools teach certain things, some schools do not.
And, we learn by repetition. So when the students were out of a school setting, there was no such thing as a hallway, things like that. That's a big deal. And if they don't practice these skills, practice what they learn, then
Mhm.
they forget pretty easy.
Absolutely. Another thing is basically one of the things that I've been seeing a lot, and this is in an elementary setting. When a kid doesn't like something, they automatically are hitting, slapping. I mean, I had a little second grader slap another second grader in the face.
Mhm.
And she said, because she said my name, my last name, I don't like it when she says my last name. That's very alarming.
Mhm. I've had an experience where children yell
Hmm.
at me. And this is not elementary, these are middle schoolers. When they don't like what's going on, they scream at me. I tell them, hey, it's a safety issue to wear a lanyard with your name,
Hmm.
identification on. And just, I don't know if I've said this before, but I'm not that big of a stickler on some of the things that goes on in the school, but that it hit me um, very hard
Yeah.
when I heard about the Uvalde
Mm.
situation where the parents couldn't identify their kids
Whew.
because they were, attacked in the face
Yeah.
with assault, weapon. And it touched me because I would not want to be a parent to try to identify my child by their shoes or things like that. But we don't always get parent support when it comes to making sure their children have identification at the middle school, making sure that if they don't have their identification, that they follow instructions.
Right.
They do seem angry. I've just got a message saying that the kids seem angry. um,
That
I
is,
don't know where that comes from, but yeah, they seem very
they
angry.
are.
They
That
yell,
is it.
scream. I tell them, hey, this is something I've done all year. And recently, in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I just point to the QR code where they have to get a temporary ID, a little sticker that has their name, their student ID, and the date.
Mhm.
So the student scream, I don't have it. Oh, okay. Are you yelling? Can you bring it down a little bit? I told you. Okay. And are you yelling? Yes, I'm yelling. This is they admit this, right? I'm like, well, I think you need to tone it down. I had a little boy yell at me because I said you lost your bathroom privilege because you're out here talking to your friends. You're
Mm.
not going to the restroom. You're keeping other people in this classroom from going to the restroom. So you have six other opportunities because we have 7 block classes. You have 7 opportunities to go with other teachers. I need you to make your plans accordingly because you cannot go during this period anymore. I hate you and
Wow.
I like your class and yelling at me in front of other students, in front of other professional teachers around, where
Mm.
they're like, "Are you okay?" you know.
Yeah,
Um, and yes, you got to have a lot of patience. Um,
absolutely.
yes, and I just it took me aback, but then I have to stand on my own principles of, hey, I'm here for a reason.
Yes.
You know, this is where God has placed me,
Mm.
and I need to not be what I'm seeing,
Right,
right, from
right,
them, but I
right.
need to show them something different. And it takes a lot for me, a lot of self-control, which
Mhm.
a lot of brain space and a lot of energy out of your body to have self-control, to be something different so that the kids will see something different.
Mhm.
Um, not take it personally because sometimes you can. Like, I mean, someone's screaming at you, yelling at you, trying to push past you.
Oh, yes.
Oh
I
yeah, it
mhm.
is. They are, and they're very physical,
Yeah,
very physical.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
so what she just posted, I just saw the post pop up, was
Go
into
ahead. Do we got some time outs, girl? We can have.
yes, yes. One good thing about that is sometimes the teacher can have a timeout, and I'm the counselor, so I'm that teacher's timeout sometime. And usually, I go into the classroom and I'm doing guidance, and I'm teaching those social skills or the things that they need to know and be that the state requires them to learn. And then one thing about that is making sure they've been taught that. So now the kid can't say, "Oh, I didn't understand what that means. I don't understand this." Well, we talk about self-control. We talk about internal control and knowing that you have a voice, but it's an appropriate way to use your voice. And I model what is inappropriate and what is appropriate. And I'll give examples and model to the kids what it feels like when someone's yelling at you. What does it feel like? How do you feel? And so we do a lot of role playing. And the part about the level that you're at, they don't get that anymore. They got a little bit of it in elementary and they don't get it anymore in middle school. Now they expect them to know all that and have those skills. They go to middle school, they don't even see their counselor anymore. And when they do see a counselor, it's just about a schedule change. So unless it's a kid that has some emotional outbursts and referred to the interventionist counselor. So that's the difference in elementary and middle school. And they're really don't have the social skills to be at that level. So when we talk about COVID, a sixth grader, a seventh grader is really like a fifth grader or a fourth grader sociably.
Yeah. Fourth.
Yes. Yeah. Fourth grader. And that's what we see. And then when you spoke about the fact that yelling at you, fifth grade teachers, they deal with so much disrespect, they deal with so much inappropriate behavior in the classroom. It is hard for them to teach and they're trying to get them ready for middle school. And the kids are crying, I don't want to go to middle school. And they're terrified of middle school because they feel now I'm gonna be held accountable. But right now I get to get away with all these inappropriate things, that the teacher is allowing. And that's the other thing. Some teachers report it, some teachers have better classroom management than others. And then if you don't talk to the parents, then that kid gets away with a lot more because you didn't take the time out to call the parent. But sometimes you got 10 kids in your class that's doing the same kind of behavior.
Mhm.
So when kids are starting to think it's cool to talk back to a teacher, and I think last year we had a kid that he literally, when the teacher took the headphones off his head because he shouldn't have had headphones in the classroom, he literally slapped her face, slapped her face. And what happened to him, he didn't get a disciplinary action to that level. He got removed from the class at that time and 1 day of suspension
Mhm.
after slapping his teacher's face.
Well, there's been some violence in my school too, and where I would say a little boy in the mind, he's a little boy, but he's
Mhm.
pretty tall. He's like 6'2",
Mm.
um, kicked a teacher in the face with his cowboy boot.
Oh my.
So he was laid out on the table, and the teacher was trying to restrain him, and he just kicked him in the face, in the head several times,
Wow.
uh, with his cowboy boots on. So the fear of adults, the healthy fear. Now, I'm not trying to scare a kid and have them, be terrified of me, but the healthy, respectful fear of an adult is gone away.
Yes, that's true.
They view themselves as an equal,
Mm.
and COVID has made it worse. But I feel like this started before COVID.
Yes.
So I haven't talked to you about this, Lucretia, but I feel like some of this started with the Disney shows, the little 30-minute
Mm.
shows, and all of them have the same theme, I feel like, because I started watching them with my sons.
Mm.
Sons are adults now. And
Right.
every show, no matter if it was one where there was a secret superstar, or one that was a secret wizard or witch or whatever, has secret powers. The theme was that the children were smarter than adults, and there were so many things going on that adults did not know. And this secret society, or there's secret things that adults are not privy to. So adults don't know everything. Right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
that's, no one knows everything, but it just makes it appears that the students or the kids in the shows, the children in the shows,
They were.
are clever, more
Mhm.
clever than the adults. They know more than the adults. Things are happening right in front of the adults' eyes, and they have no idea what's going on. So
Right.
I stopped my kids from watching these shows because I felt like they were teaching the children to be very disrespectful to adults.
Right.
I know what you're.
Mm. That's true. And I agree. And I think, and I love what she said, that she makes it a priority to keep constant communication with her teacher's son. And that is so important because me being the counselor, when I let the kids know, I said, well, remember, I'm your counselor, but I'm only in here 40 minutes. Your teachers are with you all day. So what behaviors I see in my 40 minutes, that's multiplied times 10 because you're giving me 40 minutes of this. And then I let them know immediately, if I have to call your parents, I'm calling. I got the time to call your parents.
Yeah.
And then that's when I see a different response because they know, uh-oh. And then they're really shocked. This tell you how a kid is. They're like, you got my number? You can call my mama.
Yeah.
And so when they hear that, they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna act like I have some sense today. And
Yeah.
so that's the part that I think the teachers need to communicate with them. I'm going to be in constant communication with your parent. And I think they take it for granted that the teacher's not going to call their parent because she has too many others to consider. And so that's the
That is a variable. I will
mhm,
say it's a variable.
mhm,
I don't know how much of a variable it is in elementary, because you guys have a smaller
mhm.
schools with smaller numbers, but it is very overwhelming. As a educator who have over 120
That's it.
students,
That's it.
when you get on the phone with some of these parents, you can get some on the phone, you can get some that's not. So then you try the next parent. I don't want to give up on a child, so I call the next parent. The next parent I talk to, the father, if I can't get a hold of the mother, I try the father. I call the father. He talks about custody stuff. He's mad at the mama.
Yes, yes.
All this, they're venting. And before I know it, I'm on the phone for 45 minutes with
Yep.
one parent.
That's right.
One.
That's right.
One. And
You
all
know,
I want to do is say, Diana's failing. How can we get her not to fail? She doesn't come to school enough.
yes.
Well, her mother and da, 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 la, la, la. I just would like for your help. Is she going to your house this weekend?
Absolutely.
Like it is. I feel like a counselor. I feel like
Mhm,
a
mhm.
mom, it's tough. Lucretia, I feel like
It
we're just
takes a
going.
village. It takes a village. I was on the phone with another parent last week, and I had to tell him about his son's behavior. But his son had had an incident with several of his teachers. And so even the parent knew, you know what, I appreciate you calling me. And he even said it takes a village. I said, you're absolutely right. Because he doesn't just have one, he has another one that's in kinder. And that's the part that I get to see him from kinder on up. And then I see the growth as well. But you have to remember that it takes time to invest in those kids. And one thing about it, the kids know if you build that relationship with them, they feel like, okay, well, she really cares about me. And that's the part that I try to make sure and that's the biggest key. And even with the parents, and so what we try and make sure, if it's constant issues going on, we call the parent in so we can have a conference where we all at the table. And then after we come up with some solutions, we bring the kid in and say, now you see us all at the table, we're here for you, but we need you to know that we're not giving up on you, and these are the expectations.
Mhm.
So it takes time to build that, though. It does.
Mhm. It does. It's hard to give a child what they need in one 9-month school period. You know what I mean? Like everything that a child needs. And when you have transit kids,
Oh, yes.
that students, it makes it even harder. The
Hmm.
in and out, the um,
Yes.
and there's just so many mental illnesses. Talk to me about that though, like the mental illness that you see in the
Oh,
schools now. What
um,
has changed in the 10 years you've been in
so
elementary?
the mental health and the um, illness is now at its highest. I just had a student check out of our school and check into a facility for daycare, not daycare, but for in treatment. And her mother was in the medical field, so she knew she needed to get her daughter help. So one of the things about that is we're seeing more and more, and this is a fourth grader that's
Mm,
getting in treatment for some mental psychosis, a little schizophrenia, different things like that. So this is the part that we have to really ask the questions and make sure if the parents are getting them the help that they need, because I'm a school counselor. I don't have the manpower to give therapy to the kids in public school. What needs to happen, we give them the resources and we refer them out. And that's what the parents have to understand, how valuable the school counselor is in school. The school counselors are here to help you and provide you with resources, but we don't have the manpower to give therapy on a regular basis. And someone with the schizophrenic or any mental ill, having suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, they need intense therapy. They need to see a counselor every week, sometimes twice a week, depending
mm,
on what's going on and getting the right medication. One of our students had to go and get seen because she was taking some psychotic medication that has those reactions and adverse reactions, which now need to be monitored by the psychiatrist. So more and more kids are being seen by psychiatrists than ever before. We have more and more kids saying that they want to die. And then some teachers would take it lightly and say, oh, well, she's so sweet, this, that, and other. No, no, no. That kid is having a cry out. If she said it and she has a flat effect, she's not upset, didn't get mad about losing a game or something. She just said, oh, I want to die. Those are the kids you need to really pay attention to and get them the help and get them evaluated. And that's a free service for most kids. If you have insurance and healthcare, your kid's gonna get evaluated for free, and parents need to know that. As
mhm,
long as they have insurance, or if they're don't have insurance, that's still a free service, and we have those resources to give to parents. And that's the part I want parents to know. Your school counselor, especially if it's in whether it's middle school or elementary, that's what your counselor is there for. You need to utilize your counselor and make sure that they're getting the right services and the referrals that they need, because mental health is at its highest. I'm being very, it's scary. And in the years that I've been in my school district, we've lost almost a kid to suicide or taken by accident. Like when I first got to the district, we had an accidental suicide of a seventh grader, and then it gets younger and younger. But if they're struggling with mental health and they're not taking the right medication and being observed and seen with a doctor or a therapist on a regular basis, by the time they get to high school, it can be really at a hard rate with the parents. So, and yes, you're right. Some parents need to be evaluated too, because mental illness runs in the family, especially with like schizophrenia. That's a family trait. And I have some very close friends that their kids was diagnosed with schizophrenia at an early age, and getting the right treatment, they can be, very functional in society as long as they're taking their medication. So
Mhm.
that is huge right now, that we don't take that lightly.
But they got to get help. The
They
thing is
got help.
this: we cannot be offended as parents um, when the school says, "Hey, we think there needs to be some additional, treatment, or someone needs to be seen." You
Yes.
cannot take that as criticism. You can't take that as offensive. You
Right.
need to take that as, I'm saving my baby's life.
I
Think
that's
of
that.
it as something that, oh, this is stigma. You got to
Mm,
take it as, I'm saving my baby's life. Because if they are in a position where they're saying they don't like or want to kill themselves or
mhm.
even harm others, then they're going to be in a situation on down the line where something might happen at school. And
Right,
that's not something that we desire. We do not want to see that happen.
right.
Parents, you have to say, I want my child to be okay no matter what. Not,
Exactly.
regardless of what kind of stigma you think you
Mhm.
might
Yeah.
have, you just got to get the child help. You just got to get the child help.
And one thing I like to add to that is I'm a parent too, and I like to tell parents just like myself, if one of my kids, I have a fifth grader and a ninth grader. If one of my kids said I want to die and a teacher called me, that's serious. That's not something that's normal conversation that a kid is gonna say. And now we need to figure out what's going on with that kid that's making that kid feel like, they're hopeless and they just want to give up on life.
Mhm.
And it could be a lot of dynamics, relationships, whatever it is. We need to be able to talk about it and
Mhm.
work through it and then get them some help. And I'm not gonna be offended if someone called me and tell me my kid said something, because what I do, we talk all the time. But kids open up to certain people, so you got to be okay with that they may have opened up and felt safe with someone else and didn't tell it to you. So don't take it as offense. Take it as they did a cry out, and get your baby help. That's my biggest takeaway from that.
Also, Lucretia, I'd like to just, we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I want to talk to you about how sometimes adults have strong language that they use with their children. And so sometimes when a child may say something that is alarming in a normal social situation in school, a middle class,
Mm-hmm.
tense middle class situation where other people may have stronger language that they use in the school, and they don't think that their child's expressing they want to kill themselves or harm others
Yeah.
is strong. But we just want to reiterate that is considered strong.
Yes, that is aggressive language, and it is perceived and taken as aggressive language. And I'm telling you, I just this week alone, I had kids talking to the teacher, like when I literally redirected the kid and I said, "Can you get off the floor?" Well, another kid pushed him down because he was goofing off with him. And then I said, he told me that I was rushing him. And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And then the next word he says is, "Well, it's not like he's dead." And I said, "Excuse me? What are you talking about?" So he went from extreme, me just redirecting, get off the floor, to the extreme. Well, it's not like he's dead or I killed him. Like that was his mindset and that was his communication. This is a fifth grader.
Mhm.
So if that's their normal now language, where are they getting it from? That's his coping. That's how he's able to, deflect to tell me, well, it ain't like I did too much to him, even though you're asking me to get off the floor.
And I think that we are using words like death too loosely now.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
phone died.
Yeah,
where people are throwing words that are strong in a light way.
that's it.
And I feel like that's why students are using words like this so casually.
Yes.
We have like run out of time, but
See,
I want to invite you back, right?
I'm
Um,
willing to come back. This we just
because
have
I'm
fun.
telling you, a lot of people did not know, the urgency of what some of the words
Yes.
children are saying, what kind of alarm it rings at the schools. And so
Mhm.
we need to, as parents, be in communication with our children and also monitoring what they're watching on TV.
That's the key. They
Hmm.
were watching
Yeah,
instead of having the TV be the babysitter.
yeah. We need to play checkers and Monopoly and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yes, cars, Uno, all those things that still keeps their mind going, but still fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lucretia, thank you so much for being on the show. I
Absolutely.
hate that I feel like we did not finish. So,
We didn't finish. I do have to come back.
yes, you have to come back. So, we'll talk about that and what days or whatever. So,
Okay.
thank you so much for being on the show. I thank you guys as viewers and I appreciate you. And until next time, you guys stay safe
Yes.
and know that you are enough, you have enough, and you do enough. Okay? Until next time, this is Steph the Educator saying bye.